For the past 200 years, time has stood still in Lancaster County. We're in the state of Pennsylvania, in the northeast of the United States, the cradle of Amish culture. In modern America, the Amish are an anachronism. They wear the same clothes, use the same transportation, keep the same traditions as their ancestors. The Amish have always refused to be filmed. It took us several months of negotiations before these men and women from another era agreed to meet with us. Despite reservations, some of them agreed to the presence of our camera, an act judged as sacrilegious by their church, notably the River Brothers, a small congregation of 300 people. For these faithful parishioners, this Sunday is a special day of grace.
And Philip said, If thou believest with all thine heart, thou mayest. And he answered and said, I believe that Jesus Christ is the Son of God.
Nevin, one of the parishioners, prepares to take part in what is the founding ritual of the Amish faith, baptism.
Christ unto the remission of sins, and unto his resurrected life, in the name of the Father, and the name of the Son, and the name of the Holy Ghost.
Today, 23-year-old Nevin professes his faith in the Almighty. As tradition demands, he has waited until he was an adult to be baptized. Inspired by the life of Jesus down to the smallest details, including the kissing of his disciples, the ritual is unchanging. After the ceremony, we cross paths with Karen and Amy, 22 years old, and Laura, 24, strolling in the wood. This is one of the rare pleasures authorized by the church. Unlike their peers, they agreed to talk to us about their faith.
We've chosen to live this way, to express it this way. And, you know, there are other Christians, there are other ways to do it, but this is the best way, or in many ways, it's easier this way.
Because a lot of decisions are already made for us.
Yeah.
And we don't have to make those decisions new every day.
We would say it's more restrictive to live with all the fear and guilt of a person who's not following the Lord, of being driven by those doubts and worries. No absolutes in life, no foundation to come back to, no sovereign God to trust in.
Right. People think that we're restricted and they're free, but the fact is, they're serving the devil. I mean, they have a lot of restrictions on them too. They just can't see it because they're blinded to it. God is such a perfect designer.
We go and see a beautiful estate with all these fine castles and whatever. We obviously recognize that somebody built that. Mm-hmm. Immediately we perceive that somebody built that. But then why does it change when we look at all these mountains and we look at each other and we say, oh, well, no, there was no designer. Oh, no, it just happened with a big explosion. It doesn't make logical sense.
Yeah.
The Big Bang, the theory of evolution, devil's work. Electricity and cars, telephones and television, forbidden. Followers of a bygone era, the order has cut itself off from the outside world. There's no room for what we call modern life in the hearts of the Amish. Witness their carriages, exact replicas down to the tiniest detail of those their ancestors used in the 16th century. Based on a unique interpretation of the Bible, their faith manifests itself in their lifestyle. At the heart of it all, self-denial. Born of the Reformation, the Swiss, German, Dutch, and French Amish judged Calvin and Luther as too moderate. Persecuted in Europe by both the Catholics and the Protestants, they fled to America, the promised land of religious freedom in the 18th century, where they prospered. Today, there are more than 500,000 Amish in the United States. They never leave the confines of their community. Not a minute of their daily life is passed outside the group. This Sunday evening gathering is one of the congregation's inescapable rituals, a few hours of relaxation for the River Brothers. Not that there's any question of their departing from their principles. Although the Amish have no dietary laws, the fare remains simple. Tonight's dinner, a mix of noodles and potatoes. Here, food is not supposed to be a source of pleasure. The only game allowed is musical chairs, without music. Musical chairs, the most decadent they ever get. But soon it's time to get back to more spiritual activities.
We thank you for this food.
Not far away lives Myron. This 61-year-old religion teacher is considered to be one of the Brotherhood's wisest men. He spent more than half a century laboring for the good of the congregation, without ever questioning his faith. He's a role model to the many young people who ask his advice.
Come in, come in, come in. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello there. Hello. We would say that we believe that we can exemplify the Christ spirit better by dressing plain than by following the constant fashion change in our society.
I'm glad that I have the freedom not to wear makeup, for instance, and not to have to spend a lot of time on my hair, because it frees me to do other things that are more important to me.
Yeah, it's very freeing to, when I decide what dress I'm going to wear, I usually decide based on what's clean and, that's about all I have to pick from.
Fashion, the sin of vanity. Technology, the symbol of evil.
TV is not something that River Brethren approve of. What we would call worldly amusements, we would oppose. I personally would not want to go to a theater. For one thing, I don't want to support that Hollywood industry, which I think is very ungodly.
At this point, it looks like I'll stay.
And on the subject of women's rights,
It does bother me that people think of children as something they can either choose to have or prevent themselves from having. I don't like that mentality. I like to think of children as a gift from God, and that He would give as many as He chooses to a married couple. And of course, sexual relations outside of marriage is wrong to begin with, but people do it. But then that's another question. As far as feminism in general, those women who have those attitudes, it's such a selfish attitude that I think persons who think that way will always be unhappy. And sometimes I feel sorry for them. Other times I feel like they're a disgrace to womankind.
We're very vulnerable, and yet when I really think about what it would be like to leave, I feel really lonely and disconnected. And I know it would be very traumatic. I'm content to stay where I am.
this is Lancaster's Mennonite High School, a religious institution with an enrollment of almost 1,000 students from all different persuasions. For more than 20 years, Myron has taught Protestant religion classes here with the admitted aim of converting as many of the students as possible.
Okay, let's pray. Father, again, as we launch out in our class today, we thank you for your faithfulness down through the years. We thank you for each of the kids bringing us here from the weekend. Just bless each one now. As we reflect again on John Wycliffe, may his life The other world was more important than this. Now it shifts, and this world becomes important in the Renaissance, and the other world, the heavenly world, fades into the background. Okay, most scholars are saying any religion's okay. You can be a Buddhist, you can be a Muslim, you can be a Hindu, doesn't matter. Well, we believe that the Bible says that Jesus came to save mankind, and he sent his disciples into all the world to preach the gospel. And therefore, we cannot say that other religions are okay. And that makes us look very narrow-minded in many people's eyes. They think we're just stupid, narrow-minded people. We would hope that we would be able to help them see the Christian message and the importance of becoming a follower of Jesus Christ. Yeah. To be very honest, that'd be a purpose of the school.
The River Brothers, the Beachy Amish, the New Order, the Amish community is made up of a multitude of sects. The most conservative of them all is the Old Order, with 150,000 followers. Farmers from father to son, they continue to work their lands by plow. This parish is the most hostile towards technology. Despite their archaic tools, they're incredibly industrious, and their willingness to work hard keeps them competitive. After all, we're in America, the land of free enterprise. Even the brothers of the Old Order do business, and the money they earn is immediately invested in new land. For any members of the Old Order, posing in front of a camera is a form of vanity, and therefore a sin.
Open it.
This couple has let us into their home, an extremely rare occurrence. Braving church sanction, they agreed to be interviewed on the condition that the camera was hidden. Their words are a far cry from the church's official pronouncements.
We can travel anyway but plane. The reason for that is because, how can I say this? Because we would be traveling all the time if we would be permitted to fly. And our church is pretty much, vacations ain't necessary.
Vacations for pleasure.
For pleasure ain't necessary. But I still want to fly someday.
What means being disciplined?
Making confession in the church. In front of the whole church. Not just to the minister. Not just to the bishop. You have to do it in front of the whole church. Okay. That's still my dream, to fly on one of them big jets. Oh man. I would just, that's my dream. I love to go to an airport and just stand there and watch. It's really, the planes that fly over back and forth, it was, every time I see one, I was like, oh man, I wish I'd be me in there.
Getting around the church's injunctions is second nature to the Amish, and they do so with a facility that verges on hypocrisy. Electricity is banned, but their windmills generate current. Telephones are forbidden in the house, so they put them in the garage.
So if the bishops tomorrow say, okay, TV everywhere, would you do it?
Everybody'd have a TV. Everybody, every Amish household would have a TV.
No, you shouldn't say every.
Well, if the bishop would say we're allowed the TV,
If the hypothetical.
they'd say to more, you're allowed electricity. Well, I'd soon call an electrician to get this house wired.
But see, we have.
We'll sit down and watch a good video at a friend's house somewhere or something. If it's a good video, we'll sit down and watch it. I don't see anything wrong. Titanic, I loved it. I love the movie.
He has traded his suspenders and hat for a t-shirt and sneakers. He's 18 years old, and he's named John Wayne, after the star of an art form his church denigrates as devilish. The Amish are not afraid of paradox. They've even created a grace period for their young people called Rumspringa. During these years, all prohibitions are waived. That way, the young Amish can taste the pleasures of the world before joining the church with a full understanding of what they're sacrificing. They're allowed to drive, smoke, drink alcohol, even play American football, a sport in complete opposition with the church's nonviolent principles.
It's all right. Tell him to be here. Who we playing? Seahawks. Again? Just play third time. Yeah, bring it on. There's like 4 Amish teams here and 4 non-Amish teams, so it's pretty cool. We got our butts kicked tonight, but it's pretty good.
That's the game.
That's the game. It's football. It gets pretty rough out there. I mean, I'm beat up and get sore and what.
Is there a special name for that time? Or?
We call it, yeah, running around, but yeah, that's what it is. So it's cool.
Martha, John Wayne's little sister, will be 16 in 2 months. She's looking forward to her Rumspringa with a mixture of anxiety and anticipation.
When you're 16, you can have a little bit more privileges, you know. You can dress more how you want to. And, yeah, you can have a lot more stuff. And I mean, it's not like you're allowed to, but people don't make a big fuss about it once you're 16 for some reason. Try to take advantage of it because, you know, you're supposed to quit that, you know, once you get married. So, yeah, a lot of people enjoy it while you can.
Rumspringa is a dangerous proposition. Sometimes the rigid education and moral values are not enough to protect a young person from temptation.
And did you ever took drugs yourself?
Yeah, I took drugs already, yeah. I used to been 2 or 3 years ago, but no, not anymore.
And what type of drug was it?
There's all kinds of marijuana, cocaine. That's basically the two main ones among the Amish. You don't see any heroin or nothing like that. But it's marijuana and cocaine is what it is. Marijuana mostly. When you get to the parties, weekends and stuff, I mean, it's right there. And I mean, a couple beers on your belt, what you want to do. I mean, it's right there, so you help yourself and do what you want with it. So.
John Wayne is not an isolated case. The use of drugs among Amish youth has become commonplace. Last year, Lancaster community was rocked by a scandal in which 2 Amish youth were arrested for dealing cocaine after an investigation carried out by Robert Scott, an undercover FBI agent.
What was radically different was that the suspects, the family, and the friends all cooperated immediately upon being approached. Whereas we're typically met with resistance and deceit, legal maneuvering to defeat our efforts, the Amish community, including the suspects, from the very first time I interviewed them, readily acknowledged their misdeeds and were willing to accept whatever punishment came their way.
And how did the community react?
Well, primarily they voiced their concern, and they came out in substantial numbers to get educated and show their concern for the issue of drugs encroaching on their community, more so than any community in my experience. I mean, we had buildings like the one behind us filled with, you know, 400 or 500 people at a clip who were there to show their concern. And
although they're primarily concerned with divine retribution, sometimes the justice of man penetrates their midst. The apparent tranquility of the Amish does not protect them from the violence they reject so completely. Absolute pacifism is one of the founding pillars of the order. There is, however, a certain moral violence, as those who refuse to abide by the strict rules of Amish life can attest. When he was 26, Amos decided to brave the condemnation of his peers. He put away his suspenders and traded his horse and buggy for a car. A long time has passed since then. Amos's business is founded on the Amish. He sells postcards, souvenirs, and other memorabilia to the tourists. He even opened a restaurant specializing in traditional Amish cuisine. In the midst of his former community, he lives almost happily as a pariah.
If you buy something and you lay it down, that they don't have to take it out of your hand. But that's what they uphold. They will not take it from your hand or drive with you. That's their practice. I have overcame pretty much on that one, yeah. I know how to deal with that. Some of them have a hard time to deal with that.
When we get to his house, Amos shows us an extremely rare film from the 50s in which his wife's family appeared. Not much has changed in half a century. True, Amos is no longer the carefree teenager of yore, but the Amish lifestyle hasn't evolved one bit.
Of course, Charlie in the back. Uh-oh, Charlie. Emery and Clarence Hurst family from Strasbourg. Here we have the little boys watching again.
Oh, there's me when I was Amish. Did you see me there? Right there I am, with the vest. That's me. No, that's hard for me to believe I was in that setting, you know, but seemed like a dream.
It is.
Seemed like it was a time that wasn't, you know, somehow. I enjoyed my childhood life, very much so. So you don't really have to pity the Amish when they're in that setting. They're enjoying life in their way, you know. They're not, you may think they're really under pressure, they're burdened the way they live, you know. No, they just enjoy it the way they are.
No, now you're more than 2 years older than I am. And there's Martha on the wagon with us.
Well, I just told them that I just don't feel satisfied and I don't understand some of the things what you're, you know, what you're practicing. I told, you know, the bishop that. Well, he said, if you don't understand, let yourself be told. Then I was excommunicated, yeah. Once I decided to leave, yeah. But I feel I made the right choice, so I don't regret that part at all. So you think I should have stayed Amish?
What do you think?
I think I'm all right now the way I am. Yeah, I think so. I wouldn't have seen Greece and South America, Australia, New Zealand.
From her past, Irene has nothing but a few dresses.
Okay, this is the
They're the
dress
last
part.
vestiges of a life from which she was banished. She left the community 2 years ago for the love of a man who wasn't Amish. Her parents couldn't tolerate such a union. Irene was excommunicated.
And this is in the front, crossed like that. Some of it was a lot of fun, experiencing new stuff like shopping for new clothes and experiencing all kinds of new things.
Like what?
Like using your vacuum sweeper. You can washer and dryer. You don't have to wash every Monday, you know. You could buy clothes with lace and pastel colors, and, you know, it was just so much prettier than your regular clothes. But as far as, you know, the rejection from your family, it's probably the worst thing to deal with. Well, my dad's a minister, and I came from a family that you would not have left the Amish, you know. So that was just a total shock to them, and because he's a minister and because of the family I came from, they feel like they've got to really shun me.
What about your mother?
Well, see, she's got to shun me just the same way. See, if she didn't, then she could get in trouble. So she's got to shun me the same as everybody else does. And, you know, that to me, that part makes me angry too, because some people, they can leave the Amish and they can go back, they can do everything, and it doesn't matter.
In Amish country, exile awaits those who don't conform. But despite the defections, the members of these fundamentalist congregations have quadrupled over the last 20 years, and the new generation is more enthusiastic than ever about perpetrating this unique faith.
There's basically two kingdoms on the earth. The easier one is the earthly kingdom, which we see all around us. And then there's the heavenly kingdom, which is some people think that it can't be felt or seen, but to us it's very obvious. You know, people are either in one or the other. And I think if you're going to serve the lords of the earth, then you won't be at peace.